Good afternoon and welcome once again. My name is John. This is Orphan Car Garage. We are located in Abington, Massachusetts, which is about 30 minutes south of Boston. What we do here is try to purvey the most affordable, interesting, and cool classic cars money can buy. The car here in front of us is, again, a perfect example of our business model. This car is here on consignment and of a good client from a good client of ours, and this car is obviously a Ford Thunderbird. This is a Ford Thunderbird from 1966. 1966 saw the last year of the fourth generation of Thunderbird. You may recall we had a third generation Thunderbird here not too long ago in a real pretty pale pink color known as the Bullet Bird. This was the next generation, a little bit squared off in lines, as you can see here from this side profile. And this iteration of the Thunderbird, the fourth generation, went from 1964 to 1966. And again, here we have a 1966 model. Many of you may recognize this particular model and year as being the car that was in the famous movie from the 1990s, Thelma and Louise. Thankfully, this car was spared the treatment that Thelma and Louise gave that car in that movie. Although I just found out that car is still around and is at the Peterson Museum in California on display. So back to this car. This is a Brittany Blue. Ford called this color Brittany Blue. This is a repaint, an older repaint. A nice repaint, not a perfect repaint. I would say it's probably a 7 out of 10, maybe a 6.5. It's got some age to the paint, a couple chips there. Down to the primer. We cleaned up the paint as best we could, took all the haze and oxidation out of it. It really came out nice, actually quite impressive, but still with some flaws, as you can see. A little bit of a chip there on the front fender, a scuff there on the door, so you get the idea. This is a really clean, straight driver quality Thunderbird. Those iconic taillights, and yes, those do have the sequential turn signals, and they do operate well on this car. Maybe I will, if I can remember, I'll demonstrate that before we're done. Nice little walk around here. It has a contrasting blue vinyl bucket seat interior. Very presentable car. Certainly not a Pebble Beach winner. Most of the cars that we sell here would not qualify for that anyway, and I'm pretty proud of that. We focus on affordability here. A little bit of rust on the front bumper, surface rust. So you can see it's an older restoration. Ford built about 69,000 Thunderbirds in 1966. Not too shabby, but only just over 5,000 of that 69,000 were convertibles. Speaking of convertibles, the top on this car is brand new, less than a year old. These convertible tops are quite complicated, and I know the first question I'm going to get from any interested party is they're going to want to see the top in motion, and I'm going to demonstrate that here for you shortly. But I didn't want to show the top lowered originally because I wanted people to see this brand new, beautiful soft top. This cost the owner over $3,000 to replace. Convertible tops are very expensive to replace. People don't realize that, especially in this part of the country, because there's not a lot of people that still do it. For over $3,000 just for the top to be replaced alone. I get a kick on advertisements that I see for cars for sale. Just needs a top. Just needs a top. That could exceed the value of the car pretty quick. This car has been taken care of, and while I'm thinking of it, the transmission in this car has been freshly rebuilt as well. The automatic column-mounted transmission. Open the door. Very presentable blue interior. Some original style Thunderbird floor mats. We've cleaned this car up as best we could. You could spend a little bit more time and elbow grease into making it even a little better. The front seats have been restuffed. The padding in the seats was worn, presumably original. So the owner, along with the convertible top replacement, had the upholstery guy restuff the seats with new foam. So these seats are nice and firm now. Power windows. While we're talking about power windows, the driver's side power window on this car works flawlessly, better than new. Probably has a new motor. The rear quarter windows, which commonly on these cars don't work, do work, but they need some help. They go up and down, but they need a little bit of assistance in both directions. But the power motors do work. They're just a little lazy. The passenger door window, as you can see, is up. As of today, as of right now, during this filming, that window does not want to go down. It went down and up yesterday, but it doesn't want to go down today. So consider this car needing a little bit of electrical help, primarily with the power windows. I'm not a fan, I've mentioned this before in some of my other videos, I'm not a fan of power windows in old cars because they're cantankerous, and this is a perfect example of that. Although certainly not horrible. They do work, other than today, that one. And we're gonna work on that and see if I can get that working before the car gets delivered to its new owner. Like I said, it was working yesterday, so. No air conditioning in this car. Excuse me. No air conditioning in this car. It's a convertible, so don't get me started on that. Aftermarket stereo, which unfortunately looks to have been cut into the dash. Rather unfortunate, something that I definitely would not have done. Pretty common thing to do on these cars back in the 80s. The radio does work, but sadly the dashboard, that portion of the dashboard gave up its life for the installation of that 80s or 90s Optimus AM/FM cassette. Rather tragic, but certainly not the end of the world. This car, again, is a nice driver. Map lights, all the electronics up here on the dash work properly. The wipers work fine. The washers pump. All the gauges work. The speedometer works. Of course, the swing away steering wheel, which these cars are notorious for, operate. And in case anyone wonders, once you turn the car on, this wheel locks into place. So you can't drive the car down the road sliding the steering wheel away. I get that question a lot. Ford put an interlock in, so when you turn the key and start the car, this wheel locks into place. Okay, so I'm going to start it up now, and I'm going to pop the hood, and we're going to cycle the top for everybody so they can see how this top works. It's rather unique and rather complicated, but it does work on this car, so I'm going to show that now. I'm going to unlatch the top here and here. And start the car. Starts up and runs nice. That's a 390 cubic inch V8, which was actually juiced up a little bit for 1966. I believe it puts out 315 horsepower as opposed to the 300 horsepower the year before. Okay, so the top switch is right here under the climate controls. I'm going to try to film this while I'm operating the switch, so bear with me here. That trunk lid opens in the opposite direction to allow the top to be stowed into the trunk. Very Lincoln-like. And as you can see, it works. Top then raises. This is all automatic, by the way. I'm not doing anything but hold the switch down. Folds itself in midair. Goes down into the trunk. And that trunk lid closes and locks itself back into place. All working the way it should. Many of these cars, it does not. And there you have it. Top is lowered. Very unique, very cutting edge for 1966. That window stuck up is driving me nuts. Pop the hood. As you can see, it's here, it's running. There's your very clean and tidy engine bay with a 390 V8. Power steering and power brakes, of course. Overall, very clean engine bay. Good running car. Full disclosure. The rear main seal on this car seeps only when the car is running. The rear main seal does leak on this vehicle as the car runs. The rear main seal was new. That's just condensation. It's a little cool out today. The rear main seal in this car was replaced when the transmission was installed. And our owner seems to think that maybe that seal got jocked when the transmission went into place up against the rear of the engine, and the rear main seal got displaced. So the rear main seal is leaking on this car as it runs, seeping. You're going to want to probably attend to that fairly quick if you decide to buy this car. We've taken all these things into consideration: the brand new convertible top, the freshly rebuilt automatic transmission. We've also put brand new tires on this vehicle, and the fact that the power windows are a little cantankerous and the rear main seal leaks. We've taken all this into consideration when we priced this vehicle, and I believe we priced it very aggressively. Orphan Car Garage price on this 1966 Ford Thunderbird convertible, $13,900. $13,900 for this 1966 Thunderbird convertible with a brand new $3,000 plus top and a $1,500 rebuilt transmission. Very nice blue interior. Now we get a good look at that with the top down. That's missing a kick panel over there. I mean, it does show some signs of wear, no doubt about it. This is, again, not a Pebble Beach car, but a very presentable car that you could be proud of. $13,900 Orphan Car Garage pricing on this Thelma and Louise special 1966 Ford Thunderbird convertible. You can barely buy a hardtop for that price. For years, these cars sat under the radar for collectability, but they're slowly rising, and rightfully so. I've always thought these cars were deserving of much higher values. $13,900. Give me a call, 508-954-8090. Check this car out on the web, on my website. I've got plenty of pictures on the website showing all angles, undercarriage, and so forth. And like us on Facebook, Orphan Car Garage on Facebook. All our new arrivals get posted there. And of course, subscribe here. Always posting cool, different, odd stuff. Orphan Car Garage is our name. We love orphan cars. We love orphaned cars. Beautiful cars that need a new home. This is a perfect example of that. Give me a call. Thank you.